The following is a production of Cary TV, the Town of Cary's government access channel.
Hi, welcome to Cary Matters, our monthly program that helps keep you informed of the issues that the town of Cary is working on. I'm Jennifer Robinson, Council Representative from District A, and this month I have Councilman Jack Smith joining me. Now, Jack is the District C representative and our longest serving member on the council. Jack, I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you, Jennifer. I'm glad to join you for this edition of Cary Matters, and today we have a very important topic to cover. The Council is considering making a critical change to our development approval process, and citizens need to know what is going on and why. Yeah,
you're absolutely right. We are in the middle of an important discussion that affects how our road network is funded in the future. Now, since a lot of citizens care about how the impacts of development are handled, we want all of our citizens to be aware of what's going on.
Okay, let's start from the beginning. Our town has an ordinance that requires traffic studies be conducted to help determine the impact a new development project will have on our existing road network. Then the developer must make improvements to the affected roads and intersections so our roads don't become more congested with every new home, store, or office built. This law is called the Adequate Public Facilities Ordinance for roads, and it has been a key component in maintaining our quality of life.
Yeah. Now, Jack, you are the only council member that was in office at the time that this ordinance was adopted. So let's talk a little bit about the adoption of that ordinance.
Well, with the torrid rate of growth in the 90s, council wanted to ensure developers paid for the impacts of their new developments. State law already gave the town the authority to address traffic concerns through zoning and development ordinances. And based on advice from municipal legal experts, we enacted an APF for roads. At that time, this was the most practical and common sense way of keeping within our authority and the best way we could make sure that Cary stays a great place to live.
Okay, great, and you just made a very important point that our citizens need to know. In North Carolina, towns only have the authorities that are expressly granted to them by the state. And so in this case, we believe that we had the authority to have an APF for roads because we were given the responsibility to address traffic and traffic issues through our zoning powers.
That's right, Jennifer. And for years, we have executed this ordinance under the authority given to us by the state based on the advice we had from multiple sources, including legal experts. Keep in mind, until now, there wasn't any definitive case law to suggest anything different as far as we knew. And for the most part, this road APF has been instrumental in keeping our road network excellent.
Okay, so I'm sure that citizens are wondering what kind of changes we're talking about making to this ordinance that has been generally really effective over the years. Well, unfortunately, the North Carolina Supreme Court recently ruled on a court case that involved an APF ordinance for schools, not roads, schools, in another county on the western part of the state. People may be surprised to hear that the ruling in this case, called Landville versus Cabarrus County, affects our APF roads ordinance.
Well, I know I was sure surprised to learn this from our legal team. You see, in the Landville case, the state Supreme Court held that a county ordinance facilitating schools was not authorized, even though counties have funding responsibility for schools. So while Landville didn't directly involve Cary's road APF, it looks like there now may be an issue as to whether any local government in the state can lessen congestion and facilitate adequate roads utilizing an APF ordinance approach.
Okay, this ruling and its potential consequences in Cary are extremely surprising to us because state law directs us to do exactly that, facilitate adequate roads through local zoning laws.
Jennifer, you are correct, and that is the conundrum we face. It now appears the ruling in this recent case supersedes how the state law can be applied. In legal language, this is called an evolving reading because the ruling changes how state law is interpreted.
And we have a duty to take care of the public's coffers and operate within the law of our state. So we need to reevaluate the way our authority is implemented. We're going to need to develop an approach that's consistent with our understanding of the Supreme Court's ruling.
The bad news for people who want development to pay for itself is that we probably need to repeal the town's APF ordinance for roads. However, we're still committed to taking care of our road network, and we'll use all the tools we have at our disposal to deal with traffic concerns, especially those that could impact the safety of our citizens. At our December meeting, the council directed staff to prepare immediate changes to our law, and we are hoping to hear from citizens in the public hearing segment at our first meeting in January.
That's right. And we should point out that these immediate changes we've asked the staff for aren't the end of the possible action that we can take. We really wanted to get something done right away as a sort of placeholder while we look for long-term solutions and look at the long-term issues around this. And one part of this holistic look is an update to our comprehensive transportation plan, which is kicking off this month as part of our town-wide community plan. So in that sense, the timing's really good.
Great.
You know, as much as we don't want to repeal the roads APF, I think we can find a silver lining in all of this, which is really good. For years, people have complained that the APF for roads is just way too complex, unpredictable, and leaves a lot of questions about what a developer will have to do to mitigate for her project's impacts. With our changes, our fee structure for new development could be a lot simpler and much more predictable. Both applicants and neighboring residents would know ahead of time what will need to be done to protect our road network. And that's a very good thing.
That is a great point, Jennifer. Our current process has the traffic study being conducted after land is rezoned. With our changes, we might be able to move the traffic study up so the council and citizens will know the traffic impacts of a proposed rezoning before we vote on it.
Yeah. Okay, so as we said a few minutes ago, the council has asked our staff to bring us proposed amendments to our land development ordinances with regards to traffic impacts and the possible repeal of the APF. And we're going to have our public hearing on these ordinance changes during our first meeting in January. Now, tracking along with those potential changes, we've hired a consultant to help us determine whether we can go ahead now and raise transportation development fees, or TDFs, as they're most often referred to. Now, Cary got special legislation decades ago, probably even before Jack was on council, to be able to charge fees associated with transportation impacts of development. And it's been a long time since we adjusted those fees. So the consultant will be telling us how much we might be able to increase them in the short term to help address the issues right now addressed with repealing the APF for roads.
Jennifer, you know, a lot of citizens out there would probably prefer that the town hold off on approving any more developments until all of this is figured out. And I completely understand and agree. But unfortunately, putting a moratorium on development is also regulated by the state, and it's not something we're going to be able to do. So we're going to work with each applicant to make sure that road impacts are considered within the framework we have. This is going to be difficult. But as we always do, we're going to make every effort to be fair to the applicants and responsible to our citizens.
Yeah, we certainly will. If you're interested in staying up to date on this issue, just check out the Get the Facts page at thetownofcary.org. Okay, paying for development impacts will definitely be a hot topic, but there are going to be many, many, many other matters that we will also have the attention of the council members. After the break, we'll talk about what the council will be discussing at our January council planning retreat.
NFC, AFC, offensive linemen, defensive tackles, quarterbacks, and cornerbacks are all living united to ensure the academic success of millions of kids in our communities all the way to graduation day. But that won't happen without you. So take the pledge at unitedway.org. Make a difference in the life of a child. Suit up like your favorite NFL players and become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor with United Way.
Food and Nutrition Services is a great way to put healthy food on the table. And for every dollar of food and nutrition services that is spent, nearly twice as much goes back into the local economy. Food and Nutrition Services. Healthy for you, healthy for the economy. To learn more, call 919-334-1224 or visit fns4nc.org.
Hi, thanks for staying with us during that break. Jack, let's talk about our council retreat that's coming up on January 18th and 19th.
Okay, we're retreating to New Bern for our annual retreat, and we'll be discussing a variety of matters. In general, we have four main topics for our retreat. First, we'll be talking about the development climate in Cary as we hopefully come out of the recession. We'll look at how business development is impacted by our ordinances and policies. And this will lead us into a discussion about how we can improve our practices to encourage new business in Cary.
Good. Okay, our second topic is going to be a look at Cary's evolving demographics. We'll review the census results and look at demographic trends such as our rising senior and boomer generations. And in particular, we're going to dig deeper on our quest to make Cary senior friendly. That's senior friendly. And Jack's going to be our main consultant on that.
Well, as a proud member of that rising senior population, I'm so glad we're doing that. We'll be looking at our programs, our facilities and services for seniors to make sure that we are providing the best living conditions for the seniors that choose to call Cary home.
Great. Okay, those first two topics are real hot button issues for the council. So our third topic is probably just as much so. Council members believe that we need to simplify our rezoning and site plan processes and give citizens a bigger role in saying what is acceptable. In short, we want to make sure that the development that gets built matches the community's expectations.
That's right. We hear from a lot of citizens who have experienced developers saying one thing during the approval process and then have something different being built. And this is especially important now as our volume of infill and redevelopment projects increase. So after we wrestle with these complex matters, we're going to end on a high note, and that's with a review of two recent successful projects, Aquastar and Phoenix. Aquastar is our automated meter reading system that has already saved several residents hundreds of dollars by quickly identifying water leaks. And Project Phoenix is our police initiative that is improving the safety of apartment communities.
Great, and that is a great way to wrap up our retreat. It's always nice to kind of end on a high note like that and feeling good. Speaking of which, before we go to break, let's mention a few of our recent highlights. At the conclusion of our fiscal year 2012, that's last year's budget, we had a 99.4% collection rate of property taxes, and that is an extremely high rate of collection, and it just reflects the caliber of our citizens. So kudos to all of you. We think the world of you. Also, our police department was awarded the Gold Standard accreditation, making it the only agency in North Carolina to be accredited at such a high level. Really amazing.
Great job.
Okay, after this break, we'll talk about what is happening in the month of January and how you can be involved.
Say with me, imagine what you'd see if every child had a book to read. So the mission is for us to get a book to each and every child. So let's join hands, book people unite, unearth hidden
Read to a child today and spark a lifetime of ambition.
Hi, thanks for staying with us during that break. Jack, what is going on this month?
Well, it never seems to slow down here anymore. January is just as busy as ever. The town will host a winter wonderland on January 19, 20, and 21 at Bond Park. We'll have a sledding hill of man-made snow. Space is limited, so please register in advance. The following week, on January 25th, Cary Arts Center will host a collaborative quilt project. In addition, we'll have our regular council meetings on January 10 and 24. You can learn more about events by going to the town's events calendar on the townofcary.org homepage. Well, that's it for this edition of Cary Matters. We appreciate your watching and hope that what we've shared has been of interest. Please let us hear from you. Your time is important, and we want this show to be of value to you as we work to bring you, our citizens, closer to your government.
And remember, help keep Cary litter-free, clean, green, and beautiful by volunteering with our Spruce program. Thanks for watching, and as always, thanks for choosing to call Cary home.
This has been a production of Cary TV. Visit the Town of Cary's website at townofcary.org.